The views and opinions expressed in Media Litter Sandwich do not reflect on the views of the network, station, studio, website, sponsors, guests, hosts themselves, anyone or anything else associated or even not associated with this podcast. Maybe not even the person that said them. In other words, do your own research and do not sue anyone over what is said on this show.
All these animal sacrifices.
Okay. All right. In 3, 2, welcome to Media Litter Sandwich. Today, I don't know what we're talking about. I have a comedian with me. She's traveled a little bit, and apparently it's your birthday.
It is my birthday, Scott.
Happy birthday.
It's good to be me.
Shari. What's been bothering me today is I found out that they're making, you ever watch Orphan Black?
No. Orphan Black?
Yeah, it was a show on BBC America. Great sci-fi dramedy with a bunch of clones, and now AMC is doing a show in the same universe. It's not a spin-off. It's not a reboot. I have no idea what it is. It's in development. It makes no sense why would they even announce anything. It's like the only thing I can think of is that they're just trying to get attention and some free publicity.
If it's in well, I do know something about this. So if it's in, although I know nothing about science fiction or anything related to science fiction, so I see already a schism here happening between you and I. But if it's in development and they're making announcements, it's because they're trying to sign more talent. And so they'll advertise anyone that they've signed who's a name in order to try and cement commitments from other names, high-profile names that they want. So that is one of the things they do in development. Also in development, you're raising money. So
that was a big one that I was thinking.
Yeah, you're raising money, you're getting sponsors. So development can last 6 months. Development can last 10 years.
Right.
Because they're raising money right now.
So, Media Litter Sandwich, we talk about marketing, creators. Today we're talking to a stand-up comedian that has a lot of background and a lot of things. I'm Toaden from Toaden.com, MediaLitterSandwich.com. You can find this podcast on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications because subscriptions don't mean anything anymore. And, of course, find us on Facebook and many podcast apps, including Spotify, Podbean, whatever. If you don't hear us on the one you use, just let me know and I'll try to get us on it. So that's Orphan Black. So not spin-off, not reboot, just trying to get on AMC because, well, they're probably going to lose Walking Dead is what I figure. And there's another thing. I keep seeing advertisements. I watch a lot of anime, and there's this thing that's been around for a very long time called Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam, and apparently they're making a live-action movie, and I keep seeing that they're making a live-action movie, but no trailers, just maybe a poster or something. So if anyone sees an actual trailer, keep in mind that this is recorded probably 2 weeks before it goes live. Send it to me, because I would very much appreciate that. And I did see the last Gundam movie, Gundam NT, in the movie theater, and you're obligated to like it because you've seen it in the movie theater, is what I kind of figure on that one. Shari, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you? Why are you here?
I'm going to start with shouting out to Dee Trejo in Central California, who knows absolutely everything about anime and anime films, and she's got the inside track on everything. So, Dee, you get in touch with Scott. I'm Shari Savage. I'm a stand-up comedian, and my regular job is I'm actually a professional organizer. That's a real job. So I have a business doing that.
I need help. I need lots of help.
I mostly work with people who are starting up businesses, startups, and people who are really good at what they do tend to be really bad at the business of it. So I work with them and help them get into business, or most of the time decide that they're not suited for business. But either way, I prevent them from making a lot of expensive mistakes. But for a year this week, I've been a stand-up comedian, and I'm just walking under some kind of lucky star. I'm super busy. I'm doing radio shows all over the place. I'm traveling, I'm flying, and I'm doing a lot of shows on the West Coast and throughout the Midwest. So I just have some angel dust sprinkling all over me, I guess.
So when I booked you, you had a show tomorrow, and I was like, "Hey, can I get you come in a day early?" And then you already booked the show for tonight.
Yes.
That is so basically what that tells me is you're actually motivated and you're booking your own shows and calling everybody.
What I am is a businesswoman, and I'm extremely organized, and I treat comedy like a business. Because if you want to work for free all the time and just go hit up open mics and play for nobody or play for other comics or whatever, that's fine. It's whatever makes you happy. But what makes me happy is making things happen. And so I treat comedy just like it's a business. And in the first year, like many businesses, you're not making money. And that's part of the deal. You have to be financed, you have to be capitalized, you have to be able to do that. And so yes, I network. I'm extremely organized. I have a business plan. I call people. I call podcasts. I call bookers, and I move with it as if it were a business, and I'm making that business successful.
And that I think that applies to everything. That applies to artists. That applies to musicians. That applies to videographers, filmmakers. They used to, when I taught at Lawrence Tech University, we used to tell people, look, I don't know nothing about business, but apparently this is the little sister to an MBA, because you will learn something if you're going to make something happen as an independent creator. You will have an equivalent to MBA on your resume by the time you're into your career, because you will have to learn how to run a business to some degree.
You absolutely do. You have to work on your product, and that's, for me, that's me and my comedy and my script writing. I work on the product all the time, but you also have to have a business head. And most of the people that I work with in my other life are really good at what they do, but they don't understand business, and they don't understand perfecting the product and searching out the market and scoping the competition and getting a competitive advantage. And so in comedy, I like everybody to be happy, and I want all the comedians to be happy, and everyone's got their own definition of what makes them happy. So what makes me happy is doing bigger clubs for bigger audiences, improving my product, and getting paid. So I work for free a lot. All comics do, but I always have a purpose to when I work for free. I need exposure, or I want to play in that state and I haven't before, or I want to network with that booker. But the business of anything is what keeps it going, because if you don't pay attention to the business, then you can't do the thing anymore, right? If you're an artist and you don't sell, you're an artist, but you're not a working artist because you're not selling. So finding what people want and want to buy, and what makes them happy is part of what I do.
If it makes you happy, then why are you so sad? Sorry, I had some flashbacks. My head is still stuck in the 90s because and plus I'm still wearing Jenko jeans. So.
And I'm loving those jeans. You're rocking those Jenko jeans.
Hey, Jenko jeans, if you're listening, I know you're doing a relaunch soon. Come on the show. I know you know about me. I know you already know about me. I've already got that Facebook message, so you should come on the show.
So you've been saving those since the 90s? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not answering that question. There was already a relaunch, so I have a mixture of different jeans from different things.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not totally going to answer that question because I don't know how they felt about the last relaunch.
Well, you're rocking them, Scott.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Since I already did not give them a shout, I'm going to shout out DV Radio. You can find us on dvradio.net on Tuesdays. Hopefully we're on there right now. I know as we're recording, Bo is searching some things out, but we will return on DV Radio on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time Zone. So 1900. I've been out of the military for over 10 years, so I assume it's 1900 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday nights. So that means I'm going to be turning on my phone and keep an eye on the chat before I go home tonight. And, of course, you got some veterans in your life.
I do. I've been married for 3 years, and my husband is a retired 31-year Navy captain, 31-year veteran of the United States Navy. So we're on military time at my house, always. And a mop isn't, a mop is a swab, and the floor is the deck. I mean,
really?
Oh yes,
How long he's been out?
He's been out for 21 years, I
And
think.
still,
Still.
I changed my verbiage up in the first like 2 or 3 years. There's very few things. I mean, I still call cafeterias mess halls sometimes, or chow halls, usually chow halls. I still do that, and sometimes I refer to apartment buildings as the barracks. But other than that, I'm pretty okay.
We
Most
run
of
a
the
tight
time.
ship. Yeah, he runs a tight ship around the house, and I love that about him. He's very squared away. I'm very squared away, so we're a good match. But I bring the fun. I bring the fun. He went right. He was headed for medical school after college, and his draft number
Okay.
came up low, so he enlisted, and did not plan to make a career out of it, but had a wonderful career.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I've known I'm in the Marines, so I've met quite a few Navy because they did our hospital, and that's where you went if you wanted good food. You don't go to the Marine Corps chow hall. You go to the you go to the Naval Hospital chow hall for good food.
The Navy guys eat very well. Yeah, I had a few practice husbands, and after that, I said, I'm getting a Navy officer. That's I like.
That was the consensus.
That was it. Yeah, literally. Yeah. I wasn't looking specifically for him. I just said the next one is going to be a naval officer. I want someone who's got his stuff squared away and knows about honor and duty and all that stuff. And so he fits the bill perfectly. He suits me to a T.
Well, you mentioned a lot of things about being organized, being prepared. A couple notes you slipped me here. It says you're always proper and you're always dressed to perform.
I am. I'm always dressed up. Today I'm wearing a denim suit, which is not really usual for me. I'm usually wearing more nightclub work.
Okay.
But
Not quite sure what nightclub stuff
well, I'm in
is.
black. I'm the traditional comedian.
You're from
all
California,
black.
so your idea of dress up is different from my idea of dress up.
Well, when I moved to Michigan, there were a lot of cultural adjustments, I have to tell you. But I always dress up. I don't wear grungy clothes. I know that's the thing with comedians, is to try to look poor all the time.
They're not trying.
Yeah. I dress up for a couple of reasons. I was raised in an era, I'm 63 today, so I was raised in an era where you dress up. I mean, I still wear a suit and heels when I fly. I'm just like that. And also, I dress up because I respect the audience. They paid to get in, or they're buying drinks or whatever. And I dress up out of respect for the audience. And also because my husband is quite a bit older than I am, so I know that, you do the math. I know that somewhere in some audience is my next husband. And I got to look good all the time because at my age, it's hard to meet men. I mean, my husband's fine, but I'm just a planner. I'm just a planner. So, yeah, I do tend to dress up. I'm kind of high maintenance looking.
Right. I still blame a little bit of that on California because in the Marine Corps, again, hanging out with people from all over the states, it was the people from California that would be there ironing their jeans to go to Walmart. And what are you doing?
Yeah, I never
In
heard.
fairness, there was nothing else in the city, so
So that's the way it was. Well, one of the phrases that and I adore Michigan. I think it's absolutely paradise. I lived my whole life in California, and we absolutely adore Michigan. But one of the phrases that I had never used before, that you don't use in Michigan, that you always used in California, was if you're going to go to someplace and you say, "Oh, let's go here," and you say, "Oh, I'm not dressed to go there." Well, that phrase doesn't exist in Michigan. You're always dressed to go any place. And I think that is symptomatic of a beautiful society here. I mean, people just take you at face value. You look at people and they have wide open faces and they're very transparent. In my experience, or compared to where I come from, they're very transparent, and they take you at face value. You take them at face value. They don't care how you're dressed. They don't care if your hair's all windblown or you got snowed on. And I really love, that's one of the things I love most about Michigan. I love everything about it, but the people are the thing I love the most. I am a thrilled Michigander. I'm still learning how to be a Michigander, but I love it here so much.
this is a great place to say that because I didn't say this yet, but today we are recording at the Foundation Studio at the Foundation Hotel in downtown Detroit. And I don't think there's a big convention going on because usually you see people walking up and down the convention hall right there. I love just like waving at people through this big picture window. So if you're watching the video, which is different than the audio version, just because you get to look at us, you just see us waving at people that randomly walk by.
I think there's a medical convention in town because I saw the bar looked like it was full of rich guys just hoping to meet a woman on the down low, and that's just usually.
I think
doctors.
there is a medical thing going on in the hotel tonight.
Is there?
Yeah, as I was drinking coffee, I got to socialize with a few people from some of the local hospitals. And all I was asking was, do you have any tips for next time I go to the VA? So
You asked about me being proper. I was raised in this crazy, chaotic, alcoholic household. But my mother had, even though my parents hadn't graduated from high school, they had no education. My mother insisted that I have perfect manners all the time, perfect handwriting, and that I study Latin for 4 years in school. So she had her own ideas of what constituted being a good person and all that. So
Latin was the thing when you were growing up because it's not like today, because Latin's kind of the basis for a lot of languages. That's why,
It is.
for those that don't know, that's why a lot of the older generation, I'm trying to figure out the nice way to say it, but learn Latin instead of all the other languages they teach in high school now.
Yeah, they don't usually teach Latin in school. Very few schools have it, but
Not
I
anymore,
learned.
but I believe they used to teach it because it was the basis of language, so you could kind of figure out.
Yes, it's a springboard for other languages and English as well, and medical and law and everything else. And so I was just raised with a certain kind of manners by my parents, and so that lasted me my whole life. Back in the 70s, I used to like spend the whole weekend on LSD, and then on Monday morning I would write a handwritten thank you note to my supplier. Serious,
Right.
And so I'm the person like in the comedy club while everyone, all the other comics are like looking at their phones and they're doing their notes, and I'm going in and shaking hands. Hi, I'm Shari. How are you? Oh, thank you. Oh, so nice to meet you. And they're like, get this woman out of here. Who is she? This is like my manners aren't always appreciated.
Right.
I'm a little much for some people, because I just never meet a stranger, and I'm always like, "Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, that's a marvelous shirt. Oh, I love that blouse on you." So I'm in the bathroom just now chatting up some woman who's wearing a
Right.
$10 hose skirt from Walmart. Just complimenting her, just making her day. So that's I do have ridiculous manners.
Networking is always very, very important too.
Yes. So and I think the woman in the bathroom was a working girl. So. But everyone needs love, and I don't think you should ever pass by an opportunity to compliment someone and make them feel good about themselves.
And you're currently writing a book?
I am.
Just busy.
I am. I'm writing a book, and it's the working title is Always Paint Naked, and it's a compilation of humorous essays because I'm a writer. I used to do a newspaper column, so I have a lot of humorous essays and then bizarre but funny stories about my life, autobiographical things. So those two things mixed in with these tidbits of ridiculous wisdom and advice that I raised my kids with. Mm-hmm. And my advice is, as my children tell me, really unmotherly. But it's really spot on. So I give them all this advice, and now they're I have a lot of kids, and they're all in their 20s. I had them very late, so they tell me that my advice was spot on, even though it was embarrassing and bizarre at the time. And one of those things is always paint naked, because close the drapes for sure, but.
Well, depending on where you are, if you got 15 acres, and some space,
or you're a performance artist, so I tell why mess up your clothes? So I have a lot of pieces of advice like that. Like my youngest, calling me and saying, "Well, Mom, I broke up with Michael. What am I gonna do?" And I'm like, "Well, just find other men to break up with. You'll get better with practice." So. So that's I'm
so
a
it's
good
real
advice
motherly
giver.
advice.
Useful advice. Absolutely. Useful advice. Accept your limitations. Whatever you can't do, you get to a certain age, you just accept that. Marry it. I don't want to know how my car works. I married someone who knows how my car works. So so that's, advice. Useful things. Marry for money. Good advice. Give it to everybody.
Okay. Once again, I'm not responsible for what other people. Big shout out to Misty Mills, who did a voiceover for our discretion is advised and warning and all that stuff. Our little warning thing before that. So go listen to that before you start quoting.
Yeah, don't follow my advice. It's terrible.
Yeah, if I follow your advice, I probably wouldn't be welcomed into any of the Cedar Fair parks anymore. I love Cedar Point. If you listen to the show long enough, you hear me rant about Cedar Point a little bit, which I heard you were fired from Knott's Berry Farm, which is where one of my, which I actually heard they're putting a pirate ride over there, so I want to go visit Knott's Berry Farm.
Well, there's a story from long ago. I was young. I was in probably my early 20s, and I was a musician and a singer, so I was playing in a band, and we were children's entertainers. So how it works is at these big amusement parks is you have a schedule for the whole day. So you're like 10 minutes over here in area B, and then you're 15 minutes in area C, and then you do a 40-minute show at this stage, and you're strolling through the park. So we were children's entertainers. So we were doing a show in a big amphitheater there, and and there was, maybe 800, 1,000 people. It was a big show, and it was a kid's show, but it was a family show, of course. There were kids and parents. And so right in the middle of it, all the power went out. The mics went out, the lights went out, and you know how it is. You never want dead time, not any dead time. So the leader of the band says, Shari, go up and talk, while we get this all fixed. And everything had gone out. It wasn't us. It was the park.
Right.
So,
they're not having a bad time as people stuck on the roller coasters are having. So
right. So it was just in our area, and we didn't want people to leave the show, of course. So I went down to the front of the stage. I said, well, what do you want me to say? And the band leader said, oh, just tell some jokes. And the banjo player said, but be careful about the jokes you tell. It's a family show. And I said, well, of course I'm going to be careful. It's not like I'm going to tell blowjob jokes to a bunch of kids. And right in the middle of that sentence, the power came back on.
You can't write that.
You cannot write it.
Oh,
you
man.
cannot make this stuff up. So there I was saying what I just said to 1,000 people, and all these horrified. The lights came on, and there were just a sea of horrified faces and people not knowing what to do.
Did you try to recover from that? Were you like, just like blowing on the microphone, trying to cover it up somehow?
I did not even.
This thing is on. See, I'm giving the microphone a blowjob.
I did not even realize. Just
call me a hurricane. You know?
Did not even realize what had just happened.
Oh, no.
And then I saw these faces and I didn't know what was going on. So we just started the show up again. And I got fired right at the end of the set. Like I'm in the middle of a show.
Right.
And I got fired from Knott's Berry Farm long ago. So that was the end of my amusement park career.
Can you give me an idea how long ago that was?
I'm
was
63.
That before? Okay, was that before it was part of Cedar Fair Parks?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I literally, it was 40 years ago.
Okay.
Easy. More than 40 years ago.
Before I was born.
Yes, before most of your listeners were born. That's right.
So keep in mind that this will come out in about 2 weeks. What are some of the other dates you have coming up? Because are you just in Michigan, or are you all over the place?
Well, I'm all over the place this month.
You're all over the place, even in Michigan.
Even in Michigan, yeah. It's been so fun, and everyone's been so nice to me. Next month, I'm in Oregon doing shows in Corvallis and Eugene, and everything's on my website.
Right.
That's where people can usually find my entire schedule.
Oregon, not Michigan, like the state.
Oregon, the state. I'm doing a couple of shows in
Okay.
Oregon and then a couple of shows in California. And then I'm coming.
It's just a way to visit family.
We're talking tax write-off here.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I'm from California, but this trip I won't be close to home.
Okay.
So it just depends. Sometimes I'm close to home and I can see family, and sometimes I'm not. And I have 4 brothers, and they're the 4 funniest people on the planet. I'm actually the least funny person in my family. So I was in Sacramento doing a show last month, and Sacramento is the capital of California, and I look across the street. We're having lunch the day of the show, and I had my own theater. It was kind of a really cool thing this place offered me, and I look across the street and I see one of my brothers and his wife. They live in Arizona, 12 hours away. And I'm thinking, no, can't be. Well, my brother had driven 12 hours to surprise me.
Oh, wow.
To come to my show. So I run out there and I'm clueless. I'm so clueless, I do not realize that they're there to surprise me. My brother Bob and his wife
Right.
Georgie, I'm like, what are the chances of running into you here? You wouldn't believe we're both in town. And I'm like so dumb. And I am the
Well,
least.
that's probably even better. That's probably even better. Oh, we're just out getting coffee, you know.
Yeah, imagine that. What are the chances? What are the chances? And my 4 brothers, Bob, Jerry, Rick, and Sam, they're 10 times funnier than I am. I'm the least funny person in the family, but I'm the only performer.
That's okay. I used to write a lot, and even doing the podcast and stuff. You run into people that are always way more talented than you. Just the only difference is you're actually going for it. It's actually just you happen to be the performer. It's besides just because someone's funny off stage doesn't mean they're going to be funny on stage. Don't ever put me on stage, anybody.
I actually talk
I
to
will
people.
not insult you by calling myself a comedian. I will not do that. Just like I never will insult an actor by calling myself an actor. Don't. I'm fine off camera. Don't ever give me lines. Even lines off camera, it'll take me about 20 takes. This has happened. A boom operator threatened to beat me with his boom because I had a line to say off camera.
You had one line.
And I kept messing it up. He's like, if I have to keep pulling this boom, I'm going to beat you with it. Because he's right in the middle of the sun and just holding it while I get this one line right. And I'm not even on camera.
You've got one job, Scott. One job. There's a different. I work with comedians all the time, helping them workshop their material, and I talk about this. There's a difference between table funny and stage funny. Around the table, people know you. They give you a lot of latitude. They know your background. They can fill in the gaps. You don't have to get a laugh every 8 seconds like you do on stage, 6 to 8 seconds. So, so when people tell you you're funny, and you decide to go up on stage, that's the beginning of a really tough education. Because the audience is not going to give you any of that latitude. They want you to win, but you have to earn it. You have to make them laugh. And so writing for stage is so different from being funny with your friends. It can be a springboard for that, but it's like roofing or knitting or, stitching up a wound. There's some training to be done to that. There's a method for how to do it properly and so that it sticks. And so that's not the same as table funny. I just call that table funny and stage funny.
Awesome.
And that's an educational process, and sometimes it's painful.
Well, if I wanted to be funny here, I wouldn't be asking for sponsors, which is a great spot for me to ask for sponsors because I should go up and actually ask people to sponsor, but I like actually saying this is a good spot for it. Just like a good spot to advertise that there's great shows on DV radio, such as Barracks Talk, and apparently they now have DV Radio Thoughts. Just go ahead and Google that, check out their blogs, and I think they're going to have a Sunday morning talk show now because they have their own coffee, which every podcast has their own coffee. That's why I don't, because I don't want to follow that trend yet. I'd rather just drink everyone else's coffee, and because I'm lazy. So what else would you like to promote? This is your time to promote whatever you want before I start reading comments.
Oh, well, I don't have anything else to promote. I guess what I want most to tell people is to go out and support live comedy, support local comedy. And when you go to a comedy show, laugh. There's nothing worse than people who think things are funny and just
And if you can't laugh, drink more.
and they chuckle. Yeah. Or right. And so there's a laughter's like fire, it has a life. And when people go to a comedy show and they laugh, then other people laugh. And then everyone laughs. And if you hold it in, then people, it spirals up or it spirals down. So I'd like to tell people, go out and support live comedy. People are, not getting paid usually. They're devoting their time and so much of their energy to that. And go out and support that. And then finally to say, my name is spelled Shari. It's a ridiculous spelling. A lot of times people can't find me because they don't know how to spell my first name. So my website is sharisavage.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and everything else.
Awesome. I as you're saying that, I'm just thinking, because I spent several years was a sound guy for traveling stand-up comedians doing the university tours, and that is just so true, because there's so many comedians that are just like, okay, no one is laughing. How do I get the crowd back? How do I get the crowd back? Or they think everything's fine because everyone's laughing, and then turns out 4 people are offended, and they're like, we can never have that person back. It's like, really?
Yeah, I think you have to know your crowd. There are I can please any crowd, but there are a couple of crowds that I don't do well with. If no one in the audience is over 35, that I'm probably going to have a little trouble with, because finding the common ground, it can be a little difficult. I do well with a mixed age crowd.
Right.
Also, people who don't come to see comedy. I won't go to places where there's a microphone in the corner and there's no stage and people aren't there to see comedy. They're just there to drink and there's a comedian in the corner. So you have to know your audience. And I think you can be offensive, or material you might term offensive. I think that's okay if you're not mean. I would never say anything mean or about something that people is inherent to who they are. But also, if you're going to press that line, you have to get the audience on your side first. You can't start out offensive. You have to make sure they already like you and accept you and know you're coming from a good-spirited place. And then you can really push that offensiveness line. You can push the blue line, I think, if they already like you and they know you're good-hearted.
You've only been doing this for a year?
Yeah, I was at a comedy club in Saugatuck called Coral Gables, and my husband and I were just attending a show there, and I was chatting up the doorman. And he said, "You're funnier than the guys I paid to be here tonight. Would you open next week?" And we were just there attending the show. I said, "Oh, no, I'm not a comedian. No. I didn't mean that. I'm not a comedian. Wouldn't do that." And then I'm so superior, insufferably so, and so bossy. I said to him, "Besides, you shouldn't be saying that kind of thing to people without talking to the owner." And he said, "Oh, I'm the owner. Would you open next week?"
That's also a nice probe to figure out who the owner is.
Yeah, well, I had no idea, and he was super nice, and so I opened the show next week. That following week, I learned how to be a stand-up comic in a week. The internet is an amazing thing, and how to hold the mic, how to dress, how to write a joke. So I spent a week, and I have
you don't point at things while holding the handheld microphone.
Right. I learned why comedians wear black, because all the action is from the neck up. So I spent a week writing a set, and I have bipolar disorder, so I can stay up 36 hours at a time, no problem. And, by the end of the third day, I'm kind of, hung 3 rolls of wallpaper, got 2 business plans done, and figured out the lone gunman theory in the Kennedy assassination. I mean, I get to the dark place, but so I opened the show, and it went so well that I was just performing regularly within a couple of weeks, and being, having people contact me asking me to headline. It was crazy how fast it went. So I just feel like I've been really lucky, and other comedians have been super welcoming, and it's a nice fraternity. It's a nice camaraderie among comics. Oh, yeah. Everyone roots for everyone.
That is exactly the type of group you want to be associated with, where no one's competing, nobody is trying to. They don't think that you're out for their audience, which makes no sense to begin with. What I just read, like, jealousy is just lack of confidence. And I had that in college. I saw that all the time, especially When before I went to university, I went to a tech school, and all the time, they'll be like, "What jobs are you applying for?" "Oh, I'm going to apply for that one too." And I had a job lined up at one point, and they're like, "Oh, I could totally get that job. I'm going to go," and they did. They called up the
Oh no.
they sent an email. They found one of their friends that had an inn over there, and they're trying to get there. Just so happens the job was already promised to me, and I just happened to swing by. I was like, "Hey, how's this going?" He's like, "Hey, do you know this guy over here?" "Yeah, he said he was going to try to take the job from me. How's that working for him?" "Well, I'm throwing this card out."
Yeah. That kind of competitiveness really doesn't exist that I've seen in comedy. You're not trying to beat somebody else unless you're in a competition. And I've done a couple competitions, and I've learned that they're not my thing because I want everyone to win. I want everyone to walk away happy with the job they did and just trying to do your best and not beat somebody else. So I'm hopefully gonna do a couple of festivals coming up in Detroit. I've applied for them, so we'll see how that goes. But I just like everyone to win. I want to laugh at all the comics. Most comics go to other comic shows and they don't laugh a whole lot. But the ones, I do. I laugh like a hyena at every comic because if something's funny, I'm embarrassingly loud in my laughter. And I want to encourage them, and I want everyone to have a good time and walk away happy.
Yeah. It's not like we're claiming to be on sports teams to beat the competition getting into college.
And that's a good feeling when you're a comic and the other comics in the room are laughing.
Right.
And they usually laugh at different things than the audience does. Actually, they'll find different things funny, and when you've got the comics laughing, that's you're doing a really good job.
Awesome. I was trying to segue to the Toaden Read section.
Okay, segue away.
Okay. What did I say? Oh, it's not like competition, like trying to get into a good college. Hey, hi. Oh, yeah. What's her face? Is now facing federal charges. Aunt Becky. Today I saw some hashtag free Aunt Becky trending. So I had to figure out what that was about, and you already knew about this article. It was what's the actress that played Becky from Full House, and then
Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman
from Housewives.
Clearly, a really desperate housewife.
Okay.
Trying to get her
Never
kid
saw
into
it.
school.
Never watched the show.
Well, they were trying to get there. This is a federal indictment because it happened all over the country, and they and a lot of other people were paying colleges, paying test administrators, college admission test administrators, bribing coaches to designate their kids as sports recruits because that looks good on a college application. So their kids were designated for USC, University of Southern California, as crew rowing.
Right, and is that a popular? Like I saw someone write that. Oh yeah, it's like them and Stanford are like the Harvard and Yale of California. Is that a thing? Is that actually a really good? Is that a really good college? I have no idea.
Well, Stanford is one of the best colleges
Right.
in the country.
But USC,
Mixed reviews. We call it the University for Spoiled Children. So
well, I guess that fits.
I'm from Fresno, California. There's no love lost with USC and Fresno State. I'm a Fresno State fan, so I don't know why anyone would bribe someone to get their kid into USC. I would beg my kids not to go. So
Article I saw was like $500,000. Do you think you could already purchase with that money without having to worry?
they could have bought him a
getting in.
tutor.
That's like,
Invest in tutors. Get them better grades.
all right. Well, I'm on the Sports Illustrated Facebook page, and Sports Illustrated covered this, and I thought that was interesting. Probably the first article I read from Sports Illustrated since I stole the swimsuit editions when I was a kid. So I'm going to go ahead and read a couple of these comments. I didn't really pre-read these, so I'm just reading the ones that stick out to me. From Full House to Fuller House to The Big House.
Ooh.
Which I do wonder if she's going to be invited back on Fuller House, but I don't watch that anymore. Let's see here. This is what privilege looks like. The funny thing, this has been going on since the beginning of time. This is the original. If they had privilege, they wouldn't be paying $500,000 to claim that they're students on the crew team. I mean, who brags about? That's why they chose the crew team, because nobody brags about that. No one's looking for the next crew. I don't think so.
It's like saying you're from Finland. Nobody questions it. No one checks up on Finland.
Right. I didn't know there was a local crew team in Detroit until I walked down Jefferson far enough to find a crew competition like by Groseal. Like I was almost off the peninsula by the time I saw a crew team. Like, oh, that is a thing. I forgot about that.
I think what would incense the average person about that is that those kids got a spot that another deserving student didn't.
Yeah, people that actually care about the sport.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about the crew team. I'm talking about in the college. Those colleges are
that
very
too.
difficult to get into.
Okay.
My kids all aced their SATs and got big scholarships. But if I was a parent and saying, well, that kid bought their way in and didn't get it on merit, and my kid didn't get that into that school, you think the average person would be pretty incensed by that. I would.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take the SATs, but then again, I went to a school that just cared if you could pay or not. I had the GI Bill. I could pay.
There you go. It's a sad thing. I think I would think the lesson to be learned by that is there's no one who doesn't have secrets that they're hiding and bad things that they do, and it's very sad when people we look up to we find out that there's something going on behind the exterior that that's a veneer and that there's dishonesty or
I got lost on Vineyard. Now I want some wine.
unseemly behavior. Yeah. So
ADD. Sorry.
ADD. Sorry. Whoop. Squirrel.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry. All right. Another comment. We got. I knew Nikki and Alex would grow up to be spoiled brats. I wasn't the only one that watched Full House. Of course. This is. No. I thought that was going to be a joke. And it's not a joke. It's another person that wishes they had money. New this fall on Court TV. Aunt Becky starring in Full House Jail.
You have some witty listeners.
These are not my... Hey, if they want to send me their own comments on an article, I'll be willing to read them. This is actually from Sports Illustrated Facebook. And there's actually people questioning why the Sports Illustrated is covering this, which is... because they're putting people on a sports team. Did you not read the article?
Actually, they had never participated in sports, but they were listed as sports recruits,
right,
for the benefit. So I see why.
That's why Sports Illustrated is covering it,
right? Because there were bribes made to coaches. I don't really like to see anybody on hard times. I don't like to see anybody undergo this, even someone who's done something dishonest. And so I find it hard to laugh at people's misfortune. But damn.
I think that's a perfect segue to talk about the newest AOC thing I saw today, where she, Alexandria, you could probably say the name better than me. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says society has a Facebook problem. And I don't think I need to go any more into the article other than that, because she's saying something weird every other day. But I really want to read the comments on this one. And this is on the Business Insider Facebook page, where most of the articles have less than 10 comments. And this one has quite a few of them. And I love... I love these comments because this is someone that's under 30, got become elected official when she was a bartender, mostly using social media, and here she is criticizing people saying they have Facebook problem.
I think that's a double-edged sword.
Right.
Social
I'm not
media.
saying she's wrong, but you shouldn't be criticizing
Are you
the methods that brought you up.
You saying people who live in grass houses shouldn't throw lawnmowers? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
One of these days, I'll learn how to replace that blade. Go ahead and start picking comments. I will let you go ahead and pick a few of them. I kind of got the general... I thumbed through it earlier. I kind of got the general gist of what they're saying.
Okay, well, I'm reading all these comments, and without I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories here, and she's constantly, people are going back to JFK and Hitler, and so one thread can start a lot of this. It sets people off, and I think society does have a Facebook problem. I think society has a social media problem, and it's a symptom of a journalism problem, in that what journalism has largely become is telling people what they already believe. And that's not journalism. That's not news. That's not what we should be listening to the news for. And discrediting reputable journalists and news sources in favor of things that tell us what we already believe. And we see things on Facebook and we automatically assume they're true, when so often they're not, and they're misquoted. And I don't talk about politics. I don't have particular feelings about AOC, but the idea that we listen to things that only reinforce what we already believe is generally unhealthy and makes us stupider. Okay. Stupider isn't a word. My mother would have corrected me, but makes us more stupid.
Oh, wow. You left off on a really lot. You weren't kidding when you said conspiracy. I can't read this book. There is a full book up here, and I'm only reading some about lies and cannibalism, and if you could go check that out. Let me see. Let me just read a couple of these random ones. Is anyone else sick of seeing her face all over Facebook? Yes. But we're that's only because that's where she's popular. That's where she got voted in at. And let's see here. Without Facebook, she'd be counting tips at 3 a.m. Because she used to be a bartender. But she actually did go to college for something. AOC is a very byproduct of Facebook and social media.
I think that's valid.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's valid. I think continuing to attack people based on a reinforced stereotype that just continues to reinforce that stereotype for a specific segment of the population isn't very healthy, and people who listen to that should question their own mental development.
I like this one because there's a lot of truth in this. Excuse me, Miss Cortez, but how could I see all the great memes of you without it? And that's both memes for her and against her. Apparently, I've seen full Facebook groups of just nothing but positive memes for her.
Really?
More groups that throw negative ones out there too, but that's beside the point. I mean, that could go whatever side you're on. And I'll go ahead and I want to read one more before I finish up. I saw a good one to finish off with. Too many people actually believe what they see on Facebook. First thing I read was tweeted on Tuesday saying society has a Facebook problem. Just when you think ignorance is stupidity, had to reach a peak with this one. So you read on Twitter that people have a Facebook problem. So you don't have a Twitter problem. Okay, cool. That makes sense. I am happy with that one. And I'll end with, I'm glad Facebook is bringing this to our attention. I wouldn't have known if I didn't see this on Facebook.
Facebook, exactly. This divisiveness has to stop. The word side. I keep hearing the word side. The other side, our side. We shouldn't have sides.
There's too. Yeah.
We're all trying to do the same thing here.
Yeah, it's okay. Everyone hates me because I'm not on anybody's side. Because nobody's altogether on my side. Treebird.
I am,
Lord of the
Scott.
Rings.
I'm on your side, Scott. Come on. I'm rooting for you, Scott.
Well, I'm rooting for you, and where can people root for you at?
People can root for me at sharisavage.com. They can connect with me on social media, and tonight they can root for me at Craft Heads Brewery in Windsor,
This is being recorded
Ontario.
2 weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So they could root in the past tense, or they could go on your website and root for you when you're in their hometown, or see your videos that you are working on, or at least attempt to see you.
I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel. They're also on my website, and always adding new stuff as I get better quality videos. And so interact with me and find out where I'm going, and ask me to go to your town, and I'll work it out with bookers there. And I'm just loving bringing laughter and fun to people. That's just really gratifying at my age.
And I'm Toaden from Toaden.com, and you can find this at MediaLitterSandwich.com, a ton of different podcasts. Please comment, rate, share, tell people. Media Litter stands for a reason, because you've heard us trash media so much already on here and talk about the things that that a lot of people forget to talk about media because, well, it's kind of trash. A lot like apparently students at UCF, or not UCF. That's the Florida one.
USC, and now no one's
USC.
gonna like me because there's a lot of USC fans where I come from. But
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know anything about that. They could trash me. I'm in Detroit. I'm used to it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Check out dvradio.net. There you go. Hopefully they'll promote us and give us one of their sponsors. I don't know. Just comment. Remember, video version is different than the audio version. YouTube.com/ToadenK. Subscribe. Ring that bell. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed our discussion, and may the algorithms be in your favor.
bye, everyone.